Hi everyone, this is Teacher Jen from Camglish.com and welcome to another fun and exciting lesson from Exploring English Book 6. This is by Tim Harris and Alan Rowe. Today we are going to start our lesson on this review section, and this is actually reading, okay? So I'm gonna read this story. I want you to listen and follow me, okay? Let's start. Ever since Anne became a secretary at Citibank, Mr. Bascom had been dissatisfied with her work. She had trouble counting money, she couldn't type very well, and she was always forgetting things. Anne often appeared to be dreaming, as if her mind were on something else besides her work. In fact, she did spend a lot of time thinking about her music and often imagined herself singing before an enthusiastic audience. Mr. Bascom thought that he had been fair to Anne. He had given her plenty of time to improve her work, and he had warned her repeatedly that if she didn't start doing better, she would be out of a job. He hoped that eventually Anne would take her work seriously and become a good secretary, but she never did. After discussing the situation with his wife, Mr. Bascom finally decided to fire Anne. Yesterday, he called her into his office to give her the news. "Anne, come into my office, please. I want to talk to you." "Yes, Mr. Bascom. What is it?" "I'm not happy with your work. Anne, you've been making even more mistakes than usual. It's obvious that you aren't suited for this kind of job. I'm afraid—" "I have a few complaints too, Mr. Bascom," interrupted Anne. "Oh, really? What seems to be the problem?" "You take advantage of me. A secretary shouldn't have to do personal errands for her boss." "What are you talking about?" said Mr. Bascom. A cold, hard expression came over his face. Anne was very uncomfortable, but she was determined to take a stand. "I'm talking about all the times you've asked me to buy presents for your wife, and all the times I've had to make coffee and get sandwiches for you. Not to mention all the times I've had to come here on the weekend and clean up your office." "What's wrong with that?" asked Mr. Bascom. "You don't have anything better to do with your time." "That's what you think. The truth is, I've been wasting my time working at Citibank. I have much better things to do. I'm going to be a professional singer." Mr. Bascom started laughing. "You're funny, Anne. You can't even type a simple business letter. What makes you think you have the talent to be a professional singer?" Anne looked Mr. Bascom straight in the eye. "You think because you're a big banker that you know everything. What makes you think you have the brains to be mayor of Wickham City?" Mr. Bascom's mouth dropped open. He could hardly believe his ears. "I knew I made a mistake when I hired you," he said. "You're nothing but a dumb female who doesn't know her place." "I'm not dumb enough to vote for you, that's for sure." Mr. Bascom was furious. He could hardly control himself. "You're fired," he said, pointing to the door. "Get out." "That's fine with me," said Anne. "I never liked this job anyway." Barbara saw Anne run out of Mr. Bascom's office and went over to her. "I heard you arguing with Mr. Bascom," she said. "What happened?" Anne hesitated for a minute to catch her breath. "He said he wasn't happy with my work." "Then what happened?" "I told him I had a few complaints of my own. I said that a secretary shouldn't have to do personal errands for her boss." "You were right, Anne. What else did you say?" "I told him that I'd been wasting my time working at Citibank and that I had better things to do." "What was Mr. Bascom's reaction?" He called me a dumb female and said I couldn't even type a simple business letter. That wasn't very nice. What happened then? I told Mr. Bascom that I wasn't dumb enough to vote for him. He got mad and fired me. He pointed to the door and told me to get out. Did you say anything before you left? Yes, I told him that I never liked being a secretary anyway. Oh, Anne, I'm so proud of you. It took real courage to stand up to Mr. Bascom. But what are you going to do now? I'm going to pack my bags and go to Hollywood. I'm going to be a professional singer. That's fantastic, said Barbara. I hope you make it. Good luck, Anne. Now, students, I want you to read this story again on your own. To do that, you can pause this video for a while, then read. Please remember that you can read slowly so that you can read each word in a very good way. Don't forget correct pronunciation. Now, this is the end of our lesson. I hope you learned something. This is Teacher Jen from Camglish.com saying goodbye and see you on our next video. Goodbye!